Hello, hello, welcome to season 4 of House Play D&D, the explainer podcast for one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter to discuss D&D topics. My name is Kinsey and my illustrious guest this week is Daniel Marsh. Hello, Daniel Marsh.
Hello, Connor Kinsey. How are we this week?
I'm good. As always, always better for seeing you. How have you been since your last time on the cast? On the pod?
On the pod. I said, things have been going good, but it is not quite like being back in your flat.
Yeah, it's not the same. This long distance.
It's not the same.
It's, things, we're tethered. Yep. We're tethered.
You're all of 20 minutes walk away, and that's much too far.
Yeah, I literally think about you every second, every waking hour. If I could legally put some music in this to express my love, I would. Right. So this episode's a little bit different to our regular episodes as we near the end of the DM season. I thought before we get to our season finale, we would go through first-time DM tips as the topic, and it was a general kind of topics we've covered for the last 19 episodes and what we think about them, yes or no. How do you do it based on what the topic is? How do new DMs kind of like cover the basis of everything we've learned through it? Basically, when you go to the end of a book and it's got all the answers, that's this. There we go. If you're lazy,
this is the face of a man who cheated on his maths tests.
100%, and I failed. So no, I'm just terrible at maths. Okay, right. Well, let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is the top 10 tips of first-time DMing. That was hard to say. For this, I've scoured the internet looking at top 10 lists and compiled some for today's episode that I thought we could yay or nay and talk about how a new DM can embrace the tip with both hands. Take that for what you will. Yeah.
I mean, I was already going to try and beat you to a joke and say, what's going wrong? Displacer Beast got your tongue, but goddamn, you're coming out strong today.
Just the tip of it. I couldn't say all of the important stuff. When it got to a sexual joke, I was there for it.
There you go.
Okay, Marshy, if I play Bardcore at high volumes late at night on a weekday, how long do I have until the police are called for my public indecency? What am I doing?
Where does the indecency come into this? Do you exclusively listen to Bardcore in the nude?
No, I listen to it dressed, but when I'm playing it, I'm full.
Yeah. I see.
I'm a man of taste. I never mix. Yeah.
You get that loot in your hands and things go feral.
So, yeah, loot in my hands, tip in my mouth. It all falls apart after that. Blowing the sweet tunes of anyone who's famous these days that I don't know because I'm old. There we go. All right, well, you didn't actually give an answer there. You just questioned me.
No, because you said public indecency.
Yeah, that was important, I guess.
I think you mean public nuisance.
Yeah, both.
If you were my neighbour, about 3 minutes.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Okay, so tip number 1 then, based on what people have asked on Google and other platforms. The rules aren't everything. Yay or nay?
I'm inclined to sway towards yay.
Yes.
But I'm certainly, if you had like a dial, I'm more centrist. I'm centre yay.
Okay, you're the Switzerland. You're the Switzerland of yay nays.
We'll go with that, yeah.
Yeah. Why are you why are you on the fence about this?
I mean, obviously the rules are not everything, especially when it comes to like roleplay scenes. If you start getting bogged down in the nitty-gritty of, well, that actually wouldn't be a thing you could do at the bar in this scenario. It's like, get a grip, have fun. And certainly rule of cool has always been a thing. If you can bend a rule slightly to make it a much more enjoyable experience for your players, it's going to be better for you, better for them. It's going to stick around in the memory, and that's really what we're aiming for today. That being said, I am deeply autistic and rules have meanings. So we should follow them. Rules give structure. They are laws that build the world that we run for our players. So
okay,
I think rules are important to have. absolutely. I think
Yeah,
in combat, they are great tools that can be bent, much like yourself,
yeah,
to
thank you.
make interesting scenarios. But uh, agreed, I'm quite yeah, I'm in the yay camp. They aren't everything. They shouldn't be followed to the letter all of the time. Uh, this isn't the law. This isn't court.
Yeah,
What say
yeah.
you, Kinsey?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fully for it. I do not like rules, but they are very helpful guidelines. Do I read the books and play along with the modules? No, because I'm terrible at reading. But they're very helpful to get going with D&D or any game to be like, you kind of got to learn it first, right? Or learn the basics to then be like, no, I switch it up and I do it the way I want to do it. And that's
Yeah,
they're not everything, but they are something. And I think you're totally right. You hit the nail on the head there. Combat is very important to have rules. Otherwise, it's a boring shit show for everyone involved. Unless there's rule of cool and there's some really cool moments you can make out of that situation. Outside of combat, I think it can be a bit of more of a free for all as long as it still fits the tone and the theme of the world.
yeah, agreed. It's it's the difference between playing chess and making your own decisions on where the queen and the king should start, and then
Mm.
just playing around with the horses on the board for 20 minutes straight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it can't just all be chaos, and it's got to be reined in at some point. Otherwise, you're not really getting anywhere, are you?
Exactly.
Okay, all right then. Plan the world, yay or nay?
Oh, you're speaking to me here.
Yeah,
Yay. Yay,
yay.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Foot is on the accelerator. I'm off. I'm
Yeah,
gone.
yeah. Right.
You're speaking to someone who wrote their own source book here,
Yeah,
for their campaign. I have fully mapped out a cityscape within an empire with 2,000 years of history for it, and pretty much mapped out every building and likely NPC to be bumped into from day one. 100% plan the world. If you don't have too much time on your hands like me, probably not. Probably just plan out a few key things and
yeah,
your starting village, and then wherever your players decide to go, oh, well, that we're renaming this thing you drew up last night, and suddenly that's in their road.
yeah, yeah.
A much easier way of going about it.
Like you just said with the rules though, they planning the world obviously is very helpful to know what you're doing, and players will pick up on the fact that you haven't got a clue what you're doing. But arguably, if you're using a module that's pre-written, the world's there for you. You don't have to do much.
There you
If you're
go.
if you're home brewing it, then surely you've only got. It's hard enough getting players at the table. So to have got them to the table, surely you had the common sense to think of the basis of what that homebrew world looks like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For your own sake and sanity. So yeah, it doesn't need to be as in-depth as yours, from my opinion. But I mean, I'm exactly on the same boat. Mine is as in-depth as that. But um it's guidelines, and yeah, you can wing stuff, and what players do will change the effect and cause of your world, and but at least you can be more confident that those changes can work because you already knew the basis of what was going on and what's
Yeah.
there, what's to play with, you know? Um,
Well, then going with that, would you say you prefer module pre-written world? So
mm,
obviously you can just flip through the book. I know you like the shapes and colors.
that's it.
Or
Autism 101. So I'm not the
or
train
would you
autism, I'm
prefer
the Pokemon autism. So it's all colors and shapes for me.
the funny noises keep you going at the
Yeah,
D&D table?
100%.
Or do you prefer like I've seen a bunch of tools going around for like online mapping.
Okay.
There's a bunch of like famous ones that use like each other's like map software, and then you can build your own using these open source resources.
Nice.
I won't name a few because I don't know enough of them and I've not really used them. But
Yeah.
what would be your preference there? Build your own using like online resources, or have a look through the book and just run with that?
No, I mean I've only DM'd things I've created. That's not we've spoken about it before in the podcast, like me and Lewis, or we've talked about it a bit as well.
Mm.
I find it way easier to think of things and then that stay in my head than absorb it through reading and keep that. That's just not how I work. I'm better off with practically doing something to absorb that. So for me, it's all homebrew. If anything, I think ideas that I take from other things is more like how things are made. So like it might be, like, all right, I want this kind of fortress to exist. Right. Well, what do I reference from that? It might be Lord of the Rings, or it might
Mm.
be something I've seen in like a battle, and I go, that would be really cool to have that kind of battlement in what I'm building. Or the names won't be similar. It won't be, you know, London instead of London, but it will be like, well, where does London come from, and why did people go there? So then maybe the train fits that. Oh, it's on a river where there's great transport. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah,
I think there is a million different ways of doing it. There's not really a wrong way. If there is, I don't want to see it as a player for sure because I have no idea what that would look like. You never want a DM to look like they haven't got a clue. Do you know what I mean? Because
yeah.
you
You
kind
don't
of,
want like crumpled up paper, like sketching really quickly behind the screen. This is your
yeah,
town. None
yeah.
of that.
No, no, not at all. No, you got to kind of know where you're going with it, I think. Right. Question, tip number three, don't be afraid to improvise. I mean, we kind of just
Oh, we've
added
led quite
little.
well into that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it was
Uh,
planned. Like it was planned.
ooh. I mean,
It's a
yeah,
tough one.
absolutely. Don't be afraid to improvise. I think it's always it's the well, it's an improvisational game, D&D,
Mm,
as are most TTRPGs. You're telling a story, but you're also telling it with your players. It's not a narrative. So I think absolutely don't be afraid to improvise. Which for a lot of people getting into D&D, there's all typically like a theatre or music background
mm,
for a lot of us. So getting into D&D that way, obviously you're a bit more versed
yeah.
in the good old improv. But for people like me, I started D&D first before I did anything. Well, I'm still not done anything theatre. You've dragged me into this world,
Yeah.
um, kicking and screaming. But yeah,
Covered in butter.
way up. Absolutely. I think it's done like wonders for me just socially, like learning to improvise at the table. And I think my players really get a lot out of it when I've come up with something on the spot, given an NPC a funny like a new voice that I've just thought of, oh, well, this would go with such a personality. And
Mm,
now what was just man working behind counter is a person they can speak to because I
yeah.
quickly whipped up three things and put them into a voice and a personality and my players remember them and they keep referencing them. It's things like that where I think it doesn't have to be clever, it doesn't have to be complex. It can just be very simple, easy to improvise, and that ends up staying memorable.
Yeah, I would go one further. To me, I think the best D&D that is being able to improvise. I think if you've got a DM that can like solidly sell you an idea when they're winging it, they're a shit hot DM. Like I've just said in the last question, if they've got nothing, then that's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's true because you can see that it's nothing. When like in my last session I've just run, I had like 8 pages of written session, and then I had a bit where I was like, I've actually set up this next session to be fully improvisational. I wanted to see what I can do with it, and that meant they also got to improv how they go about a world that requires them to improv, rather than it's this whole world, but I've no idea. There's different ways of going about it, and I think people who, as time goes on, you're not going to be brilliant at improv on the get-go because no one is in real life,
No.
Well, some are very lucky to do that. But as time goes on, you being able to wing it as it happens will really benefit your play style, like will really benefit what you get out of a game, whether that's combat or role play or just actually making friends at the table. It's relationships, right? And it's really helpful to be able to kind of like, as it happens, it feel less like it's on paper and formulaic. From
Mhm.
a sort of player point and a DM point that yeah, it's really important, I think.
Actually, yeah, you're 100% right there, and I think definitely, especially with what you said for like planning, um, if you're just making everything up, I think that's blatantly clear. But if
Yeah.
you've planned a good bit, but you're very open to improvising beyond that, and like what you've done, I think I really do respect that, saying this bit is just going to be completely improvised,
Mm.
and you leave those gaps on purpose. I think that can lead to some really great storytelling. And if you obviously know the bones of what you're running,
Yeah.
that makes your improvisation so much better.
Exactly. And that is, I've planned the world. I've planned that area they're in, and now they can improv within it, and I'm comfortable that they can improv and I can improv because that world's planned. Do you know what I mean? So they
Mm.
those questions work really well together. I wrote this before that campaign session last week, and we're talking about it, but that's just naturally. It's good to have a strategy, even if people think there isn't one. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Next question, and we talked about this quite a lot off the podcast. You don't need to be a voice actor.
Oh yeah. Obviously it's going to help. It's going to be
Right.
brilliant if you can. But I'm going to say, yeah, I agree with this. You don't need to be a voice actor because it is only one little bit of storytelling. There's
Yeah.
all sorts of other things you can bring to the table that set this scene in the theater of the mind, and
Mm.
it's not needed really. Um, Obviously, if you can maybe pull off like three accents in your life, and you could
Fair
give
play.
one or two of those to an important the big bad, preferably not if you're doing anything like subterfuge, and they meet
Yeah,
the big bad at the start of the campaign, their only person with a voice. Maybe that's
yeah.
give the game away a bit. Um, but no, I don't really do many voices in my campaign. I know for a lot of people it can be quite difficult, especially like I said, if we're like not had the theatre background. Um, it could be a confidence thing. It could just be a genuine skills thing. If you don't practice it, you don't have that talent. You need to build it up, and it can be daunting to do that for the first time at the table.
Mm.
But I think this is one of those things where if there's a lot new to you, this is definitely one to put on the back burner. You don't need to be a voice actor.
Yeah, I'm 100% agreeing. It's a nay for me. Like, if anything, me going into playing D&D for the first time, I thought, and I definitely know that a lot of people I've taught now, like I've easily taught 30, 40 people now at this point, that they all think there's going to be people doing goblin voices 24/7. And then
It's
when
always
they,
goblin voices
And
as
when they
well.
realize it's not, there's a huge relief that it's
Mm.
not too far from real life and you can get into something, but also you can be kind of like, yeah, it didn't need to be that cringy. Once they then get into it and they go, please, God, give me cringe every week. I want this more than
Mm.
real life. Then do the voices. Like it's absolutely, you sell
Oh,
them
I
the
like that
dream.
actually.
You know what I mean? Like, because we love it now. If someone does it, you go, oh, okay, all right, you're committed. You don't see it as silly. You go, brilliant. But at the beginning, you're like, that's a whole other thing that you've got to be comfortable with that you've never come across, but you fear that people will do it. And then once
Mm.
you're fine with putting on the chainmail, and then you're like, yeah, actually, I'm in this world. Then do you know what I mean? People can be in costume, people could do the voices because you're sold. But at first, I think that's actually the voice bit, I think, is a huge barrier that we need to break for people to get into it more. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Um,
Okay,
well,
that's interesting. So, like, on the player side, to get them more invested in in their characters.
yeah, exactly. For their characters, and then are they going to stick around for the next session when they immediately come across a
Mm.
bartender who's in a voice the whole time? They go, "Oh God, does that mean I've now got to do a voice?" And it's there's a unneeded pressure when actually the DM probably wasn't expecting it either. The DM definitely isn't expecting you to put on voices, and they probably pray that you don't expect voices from them. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
I know. I'm praying every week that I don't need to
Yeah,
come up with someone who's got a voice.
exactly. So
This
I
is
think
an easy one.
yeah,
I'll do an easy one every day.
I think it's a really good nay to have. It's not a negative at all. It's just like read the room. When is it needed? It's probably
Yeah.
better off once people are experienced and they're kind of very much like in the world and they're chill with whatever goes on, at the table. Um, okay, you versus the players. Now, this is the barrel is
Okay.
the DM season, so yay or nay, it's you versus the players. I think this is an obvious one.
I think same time, and it'd be very cool. But I don't know that our bandwidth over the internet is
But
going to let us do that.
it literally lagged out as you said you began the
Yeah.
sentence. But I heard the end of
Okay.
it, so I knew what you were talking about. We'll do it on three. We'll do it after. We'll do it on one. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Three, two,
Two,
one.
one.
Nay.
Nay. There we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It is not us versus the players, I think. I mean, I don't know, I've not played in one of your campaigns. You might be absolutely ruthless
Oh,
to
when you
us.
knock on my door, I leave you for 10 minutes. So then that way you're already uncomfortable before we start.
Oh, you're evil.
Yeah. When you wake up, there's a little chocolate on your pillow, and you're like, this is a bit weird. I don't remember putting that there. And then you bite into it, and it's a Brussels sprout. And then there's a little note inside, like a Chinese what's it called? Like
Fortune cookie.
fortune cookie. And inside it says your character will die tonight. And that's how I play.
In a Brussels sprout. How on earth?
Yeah, it's a lot of time, a lot of effort, but I'm dedicated to making sure my players sweat. So
See, I like that concept though. If you're going to be against the players, take it away from the table.
yeah, be scary. Like make it lawsuit viable. If you're gonna do it, commit. You know.
No, that's actually an interesting point because I was fully like 100% nay, it is not us versus the players. But there are times where I've had to be against my players
Mm,
and it is away from the table, but it's influenced
yeah,
the table.
yeah,
Um, so during your sessions during the campaign, they're not going to have a very good time if you're against the players
100%.
because you're the DM, you have infinite power. If
Yeah.
you decided suddenly 20 bronze dragons appear out of thin air,
Mm.
good luck. You know, you you win, but it's like playing COD with hacks on.
Yeah, yeah,
Ultimately, it's going to be boring. No one gets anything out of it.
yeah. Agreed.
It feels very cheap. If you play the game like that, I think you're gonna drive away your friends. They're not gonna have a good time. You're not gonna have a good time. But I think away from the table, or certainly in the build up to starting a session,
Mm.
I think there certainly needs to be some sort of, rather than being enemies, I'll say, I think some sort of controlling arm of the law wrapped around the table. Because there's been a good few times I've had to summon literally every atom of my body that is stoic because there aren't that many, um, to put on a brave face and tell my players, okay, can we actually lock in and start?
Yeah,
Can we
yeah.
can we not yap? Can we be serious? There's serious stuff. This don't want to interrupt anyone's character moments. I think at times like that, it's fully acceptable to not be antagonistic, but to be a bit mean, to be against the players because they need it.
At
And
the
I
end of
think
it, yeah,
it's
you're
best for
you're
everyone.
you're the DM. Whether it doesn't matter where you are, you could be at a player's house and you're the DM. You are hosting the session. You're not
Hmm.
physically hosting. Maybe you are. It's at your house, or even if you're at your local store playing, you're hosting the session, and you're there to kind of keep things grounded and keep things happening and moving along, and everyone enjoying it. And yeah, you are the arm of the law at the end of the day. Don't become a Nazi with it. You don't have to be the Gestapo. Just make sure people
Oh
remind people
God.
what they're there for, and yeah, you versus the players. I think you once again you hit it there where outside of that you can really tease players. I text my players today as soon as I book the table for next week. I texted them today saying, "Fucking hell, I wouldn't want to be them next week." And then I put, "Oh, sorry, wrong group." Literally.
Oh no.
So that kind of thing, you've read the room, you know the players, you've been playing for over a year. I wouldn't do that to people you've never met before, but the point there is it's in jest and they're going to have fun. On the day, they should also be comfortable knowing that that's funny because on the day you're solely there for them to enjoy it and that's it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, I'm with you on the like texting them away from the table
yeah,
thing as well. Like one of my players, we send each other TikToks all the time,
mm,
and the amount of times he sent me, is it Dokes from Dexter?
right,
The really good investigator. Is like
yeah, yeah,
when you know the DM's trying to TPK you, but you can't quite prove it. The amount of
yeah,
times he
yeah.
sent me that, I was like, oh, I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Right, we're going to have to speed run some of these questions because I'm conscious that we're five in and this Zoom call might end within
Oh,
like 40 minutes. I forgot
Jesus.
about that. Okay, the players should bring their own equipment. I'm the Switzerland on this
Hmm.
one. If you want to bring your own equipment, feel free to bring equipment. If it's your first time playing with me, I will 100% have the equipment.
Hmm.
I'm an enabler. I'm the gateway drug. I want you to enjoy it and then after that, if you enjoy it, buy some dice, buy the bits you need, enjoy yourself. At the beginning, I'm just there to sell you the thing that your parents told you to stay away from.
Oh. See, that's the you're so old, you're of the generation where
Yeah,
D&D was
yeah.
demonic.
Well, I actually meant drugs, but yeah, sure.
No, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I think first session, absolutely, you don't need to bring anything at all besides yourself. At the most, I think I would ask a brand new player to download D&D Beyond,
Yeah.
just for the
Okay.
sake of character sheets
Mm,
rolling on their phone. Say, look, if you want to stick around, we'll print you out some physical like materials.
yeah.
I'll recommend some like cool designs for dice, but ultimately just go have fun shopping.
Yeah.
Or meet you at Con and answer some unhinged questions for a free
Exactly.
set. A little bit of a promo there. But yeah, beyond that, I don't think anything's needed of a brand new player. I think if you're
Mm,
sticking around in a campaign, it is well worth investing in all your own gear. But it also kind of depends on the DM in play. So if you've got a DM who's like you and me, we've got a lot of stuff already, and we can pretty much get the table ready just for the players to turn up
mm,
beforehand. Obviously, you don't need to bring as much, but if you've got someone who's not really got the space to do that, or you going to a third place rather than someone's house,
yeah.
absolutely get your own things, make that burden a bit less for everyone involved.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay. Say yes when possible. I think this is quite an easy one. Um,
Mhm.
Yay. Like it's always a yay.
Yeah.
We say this every episode. Never say no unless it's so ridiculous, the request. Like it's like, oh, we start the game. I want to kill my team. You'd be like, why? Like, not a no, but why? What does
Mhm.
this give? Do you know what I mean? If it literally isn't there in favor of the players, then probably no. But it's 90% of the time it's a yes. 99% of the time it's a yes.
I think yes, and obviously very famous within improv, very powerful tool. Asking why, getting them to reflect on it, it could get them to change the decision. At the very
Yeah.
least, you're going to get a lot of rationale, which is very
Yeah.
good
True.
because you can play off of that. I think a very underused tool is no but,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
that's once you've gotten that rationale from them. If it's still that 1% of the time you need to say no, but now
Yeah.
that I understand where you're coming from, let's figure something else out that still is
Yeah.
where you're coming from.
That's where I'm going wrong because when they ask for irrational things, I just pick up my chair and I throw it across the room and then I leave. And if I just stuck around for a little bit more, I think we could have got it fixed.
Mm.
Next question, as we have 8 minutes on Zoom, apparently it's a
Oh, quick, quick,
Zoom
quick, quick.
advertisement. Quick fire. Talk to your players. 100%, yeah, yay.
100%. Yeah.
Talk to them in session, talk to them out the session. Make it a social thing. Don't make it feel like it's a scheduled event where it's just work, and once you're done, you're gone. Like, you don't want to interrupt in the session, which we both had that conversation about
Mm.
before. But you want them to feel like it's inviting, and they can ask things if they're unsure about it, and you can do the same if you're unsure as a DM about things that they might know. You know?
There you go. I think you're allowed to put your hand up mid-session if you've got a
Yeah.
question. Wait your turn for a quiet point, and the DM will speak to you about that. Absolutely. Speak to your players away from the table. Absolutely. Every few sessions, I will reach out to my players individually and ask how they're getting on in the campaign so far. If there's anything they've not mentioned at the table, now would be a good time to let me know. If there's anything they want to come up in the next few sessions, let me know. And
Mm,
that's obviously I've got a wider arcing story in mind whenever I'm running these sessions, but that lets me guide that path a bit more for the players and it helps them feel a bit more involved.
yeah, 100%.
Absolutely
I
top tier
totally agree.
players.
Yeah. Combat is the most important aspect of D&D. Now, I 100%. Yeah. This is the red herring. There are people out there who are full sweat mode. People in my games, that's their thing. That's what they want, and I'm there to ruin their days by texting them in advance. Bad things that will happen to them because I don't. I disagree. I think role players, while we're there, combat happens to
Mm.
be a part of that experience that defines the characters, not the other way around. Like we're there to enjoy, immerse, and get out of real life.
Absolutely. I think it's necessary for the story. I think it's a story-based game and both sides of the table are telling it.
Mm,
Combat is a very good tool. It makes the story a bit more fun at times, but you can have 100% role play campaigns and they're very, very fun. I think if you have an entire campaign of just hack and slash, it would get boring fast, in my opinion. You
yeah,
can have sessions like that, you can have one-shots like that are very fun, and there are pre-written modules just like that dungeon crawls
yeah,
where it's just combat all the way through. they've got their place. I don't think it's the most important aspect of D&D
Yeah.
as a whole.
There's also on like West March's server, which if you don't know what they are, they're essentially usually through Discord, where be channels are set up for different kind of like places, place names per channel, and there'll be Colosseum fights, which are really popular, where you literally put yourself up. This is the level. Someone says level 5 Colosseum fight on Wednesday night, and people go, right, this is my character, this is my level, and that's literally just combat heavy. So very easy to find if you're looking for it in the Discord community. West March's server is what it's called for newbie DMs. Last question. Um, Run sessions for you as a DM. What do we think?
I think nay. Run
Okay.
sessions for us.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cute. Very sweet. Very sweet.
Oh.
I hate that. God damn it.
I
I
beat
need
you
a dare
to
to
it.
pro.
No, absolutely. I think I'm firmly in the nay camp for that. Because at that point you're just telling a story to a table of people,
Yeah, you
and
just
that's
want
not
to
what the
hear
game
yourself
is.
out loud, right? You're just there to
Yeah,
be like, I just want you to hear me. So, I just do the talking.
no, I know you do.
So, yeah, it's you're writing something. I'm writing something that I think that I would go, fuck. I wish I was in this, but but
Mm,
I'm writing. We've literally had that conversation on the podcast before, but I want that same feeling to happen to the players. I want them to really enjoy it and be excited, and then I know I've done a good job of entertaining. That's it. Do you know what I mean? If I'm writing it and I think it's shit, they're probably going to think it's shit. So I'm indirectly in
exactly.
favor of them every time, you know?
Is it if you're writing it, if you've got this mindset of you want to enjoy it personally, if you struggle getting into the mindset of your players, the least you could do is try to think, okay, what if I was a player in this campaign I'm writing?
Yeah,
And if
100%.
you don't think you'd enjoy it, you need to try taking a different approach.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I think we've covered it and in just about the time left on this call. Today's adventure is sadly coming to a close. We are back again next week with a topic: how much yogurt do I need to eat before I turn lactose intolerant? And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join in on the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram at How to Play D&D, or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. I've been Connor Kinsey.
And I've been Daniel Marsh.
Good day.
Good day.